got new interesting leaks for a big upcoming Assassin's Creed game that will be different than the previous titles. More Xbox games are coming to PlayStation. Capcom is doing very well. We got a ton of big gaming news and leaks to go over. So let's go. Let's start with French YouTuber Jonathan, who we know has sources inside Ubisoft. He now tweeted the following: Watch Dogs is normally dead and buried. Basically, bad translation, like Watch Dogs is dead and buried. Legion's failure destroyed the projects on the license, including a very original Battle Royale. And many websites picked this up, including a German one called Gameswelt, and they noted the following: as early as 2022, there was speculation from YouTuber JorRaptor that Watch Dogs had been secretly, quietly scrapped. Bad translations again. Either way, I thought that was pretty awesome to see, because this is true. In August 2022, I posted this. With almost all the big names working on Watch Dogs gone from Ubisoft, Legion not selling well, and support ending sooner than expected, you have to wonder, is there a future for the series? We go in depth because it's not looking good. So yeah, in that video I basically analyzed the whole situation, and these urban open world games, like making a functional city with cars you can drive next to the regular action combat, like they cost a ton to make, so it's a huge risk for Ubisoft to make a new title when Legion didn't do as well as they had hoped. Now there should be a Watch Dogs movie coming with Sophie Wilde likely, so if that is good, it might create more hype for the series, as we're now seeing with Fallout for example as well. And maybe that will cause Ubisoft to get a change of heart and return to the series, like I hope. And I do think that at one point there will be like a reboot. Maybe it won't be like a big open world game, even if it's like a smaller title. I totally think they will do something with Watch Dogs in the future, but it will be a while, because Ubisoft's focus right now is on the Tom Clancy games, Assassin's Creed and Far Cry. Let me know what you hope to see from a future Watch Dogs game, although again, it likely won't happen until the 2030s. And I mentioned Far Cry. Jonathan also posted this cryptic image, and many websites ran a story saying that Cillian Murphy, of course from Oppenheimer most recently, would be the villain in the next game, but that did not turn out to be true. It likely has to do with the name of our main character. Thomas namely replied saying that the character of Far Cry 7 will be called Murphy and will have 72 hours to save an entire family, at which Jonathan said, Shashuv. Hopefully I did not butcher that. Either way, that means that the poster was getting warmer. Now Far Cry 7 should launch next year in 2025 and change the formula a bit, where an in-game timer plays a role and family members that we have to rescue can actually die, so there will be multiple ways the game can go. A much needed fresh wind. We will of course see how it works, and I will keep you posted here. Microsoft had their financials this week, and while things are up for Xbox, that's mostly because Activision Blizzard is now of course included in their numbers. So the two most interesting things though are that while Xbox content and services revenue rose 62%, driven 61 points by the net impact of Activision, so without them it just rose 1%, but Xbox hardware revenue declined 31% year over year, and this is not great because last year they also saw a 30% decline. Like the Xbox Series console is selling worse than the Xbox One, which is kinda wild, but yeah, because of this, Microsoft is of course making moves by bringing over more and more games to other platforms, which in point makes the Xbox hardware less appealing. But yeah, if you think about it, like having Starfield and Forza in 1 year and then actually seeing a decrease in console sales by 30% over a year like 2022, where they did not have any major exclusives, like that's not really great, and it shows them that having these huge budget games stuck on one console is not helping them. We also have Sea of Thieves being the most pre-ordered game for a long time now on PlayStation, with Microsoft CEO saying that at one point this month it had 7 games among the top 25 sellers on the PlayStation Store, which was more than any other publisher. So he's really talking about Xbox as a third-party publisher here, and he also once again noted how they are committed to meeting players where they are by bringing great games to more people on more devices. Like these 4 games that they just brought over were test bets, and seems like they've paid off. I really would not be surprised if we saw games like Starfield and other titles later this year on PlayStation already, which leaves the Xbox hardware in a really weird spot. It of course won't go anywhere. Microsoft already talked about their next-gen plans, but they really have to do something different this time. Like, sure, having the games day one on Game Pass is still great instead of having to buy them on PlayStation. But yeah, you would think that many Xbox people might jump to PlayStation 6 with the next generation, because then they can basically play those exclusives and the Xbox games as well. So Microsoft has to do something with the new box to make that more appealing. Maybe make it the most powerful thing out there. We will see. Of course, curious to hear your take in the comments down below. Let's go over those Assassin's Creed leaks and way more gaming news. Of course, if you like the video so far, leaving a like would really help me out. So thanks for that. And subscribe, because I post one of these gaming news roundup videos every Sunday. Yes, we got new leaks for Assassin's Creed Hexe from Tom Henderson, who, as you probably know, has a good track record. So this is the new game set during the 16th century Holy Roman Empire, and it's made by the Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Origins team. But according to Tom at Insider Gaming, they are going to do something quite different. Hexe is understood to be a more linear experience compared to its predecessors, with some elements of open world exploration, somewhat akin to some of the earlier Assassin's Creed games. So I would argue more linear than Mirage we got last year, as earlier we learned that Assassin's Creed Hexe will be a very different type of AC game compared to what we had before. So I would not be surprised if it's more like the recent God of War titles, or the newer Tomb Raider games, or the recent Final Fantasy games, where you have like very handcrafted and set piece heavy linear levels, and then you reach some open zones in between that you can then explore before moving on to the next very linear level. We already heard through rumors that this game will be the first mainline title to feature a solo female lead, currently named Elsa, although the name can still change. And we now learned that she has supernatural abilities. Insider Gaming got to see some footage where Elsa is seemingly being hunted by 16th century German soldiers. This is an image of what they look like. And then she uses a spell to possess a nearby cat. Then the player controls the cat and uses it to distract the soldiers by knocking over a glass bottle, which smashes on the ground, and it diverts the soldiers' attention. Yes, this sounds very Dishonored-like. I hope there's a good explanation, of course, for her having these abilities. It's probably going to be linked to a piece of Eden. But yeah, hard to take any conclusions out of this, I think. So far, it doesn't sound that different at all. Maybe, sure, compared to other Assassin's Creed games, but maybe I hope to see like something more revolutionary for the action-adventure genre as well. This also sounds a lot like Plague Tale, for example, so I hope they still have some unique mechanics and interesting ideas. Like, the game is still far away, 2026 is when it's expected, so a lot can still change. Insider Gaming also talks about a fear system that should be included, inspired by the Assassin's Creed Syndicate Jack the Ripper DLC. Okay. Now let me know your take on these rumors in the comments down below. I at least know for a fact now that I'm more excited for Assassin's Creed Red, the big open world RPG that should of course launch this year. We will probably hear something soon, with the Ubisoft Forward of course coming up on June 10th. I will keep you posted, of course. And I got some quick shots, news stories that I will go over quickly, like Star Wars Jedi Survivor is now on EA Play, so if you have the subscription, you can play the full game on console and PC, with of course Game Pass Ultimate subscribers also getting it as part of their subscription. It took them very long, but the game's performance mode on console is way better now, while it might still not be the best port on PC. Like, I really hope they iron these things out with the third game, because the technical state, I think, really hurt Jedi Survivor, and rightfully so. Still wild that they launched it like that when the first game was also plagued with issues at launch. Still though, it's still very much worth the time, so you can play a way better version now, and for cheaper if you have EA Play or Game Pass Ultimate. Media Molecule, of course the creators of Little Big Planet and Then Dreams, are now working on something completely new. This according to a job posting. Partner closely with the wider programming team to define and champion technical requirements and standards for Media Molecule's new IP. It will probably be some time before we see it, but I do miss the creative games from the studio, which totally adds some nice variety to Sony's lineup. I hope it's still during the PS5 generation, but it might be later. Capcom is doing very well. They raised their full year forecast on better than expected game sales, and this thanks to Street Fighter 6, that was at 3 million at the start of the year. They still need a lot of copies though to reach the 10 million that they want to achieve, but it's doing pretty well. And Dragon's Dogma 2 sold 2.5 million copies in 11 days, and Capcom notes that that is favorably. So sounds like they're happy with it. but maybe not like over the moon. I still think the bad word of mouth, thanks to the microtransactions and the bad PC port, did hurt the game's potential. Like the pre-launch hype indicated that they had a small like Elden Ring moment on their hands, but it never quite reached that. Still a great game, like I really enjoyed it. Now with all this and the increased sales from their back catalog titles, including the Monster Hunter games and Resident Evil, made it better than expected financials. It seems like the upcoming financial year from April 2024 until March 2025 might also be even better. And that will probably be solely thanks to Monster Hunter Wilds, so that we will hear more about this summer with probably an early 2025 release date. Monster Hunter World is still the best-selling Capcom game ever, and now with Wilds they're going in a more open world direction. I think it will be huge. And they also got a pretty cool looking tower defense style game, Kinitsugami, that will be Game Pass day 1, and there are rumors about a Dragon's Dogma 2 DLC, but not sure if that will happen. So yeah, no Resident Evil likely in that financial year. It will likely launch later into 2025, but still cool to see that the company is doing great across their whole portfolio, while many game companies are just relying on a few big live service titles that they might even launch every year, while their other games are not as successful. I'm looking at EA, Take-Two and Ubisoft. So this coming week we will have more Stellar Blade videos for you. I'm actually enjoying the game even more thanks to the very fleshed out New Game Plus mode with a ton of extra stuff to earn. So we'll share more about that. We got an Xbox Indie Showcase happening on April 29th, where we will seemingly get the new Don't Nod Life is Strange style game Lost Records, Bloom and Rage. The trailer for that already got published beforehand, so we will see it in the coming days. And when we hear like interesting news about it, I'll of course share it here. We also got some more financials this coming week, Remedy and maybe Pearl Abyss as well. So an update on Crimson Desert would be cool. And then next week we have EA, Warner, Bandai. So if they have something to announce, they might do it this week already. I will keep you posted with a big Sunday gaming news roundup video like this. So subscribe to not miss it. A like would of course really help me out. And check out my Stellar Blade review if you are curious by clicking on the screen. I will speak to you very soon. Goodbye.